Welcome back to RNS Bees. Thanks for coming back and visiting with us on our channel. If you're new to our channel, we are natural beekeepers. We are using lay-ins horizontal hives, and that's a little bit different than most of the beekeepers in the United States. We have about 30 videos that we've posted already, so if you get the chance, we would appreciate if you would go back and look at some of those earlier videos. If you're serious about practicing natural beekeeping and you want to do it an easier way than most people in the U.S., doing that in horizontal hives is the way to go. And Dr. Sharashkin is one of the leading experts in the United States of that. And we were able to go out to his place in Missouri over the weekend and attend this natural beekeeping workshop. Now, we ordered a couple of books from Dr. Leo's website, horizontalhive.com, last year, Keeping Bees with a Smile and Keeping Bees in Horizontal Hives. Both of these books were written many years ago, but Dr. Leo has translated them into English, and he edited the most recent editions of both of those books. So a lot of the information from the workshop is based on keeping bees with a smile. And so we were really happy to get the opportunity to go out and to learn from such a renowned expert. One of the most important things that are talked about in keeping bees with a smile is how important it is to use local bees. And Dr. Leo reiterated that in his workshop, and how easy it is to do that by catching swarms. And so we had actually done that. We built swarm traps last winter, and we put those out early this, late spring, early summer. And we actually were able to catch 6 swarms. So what that does for you is it gives you bees in your apiary that are acclimated to your climate and that are already in sync with the nectar flow in your area. So that is just invaluable when you're getting your bee yard set up. One of the things that we learned quite a bit about was how to increase the size of your apiary by doing splits. And what that does is it kind of mimics the bees' natural way that they propagate in the wild by swarming. So it kind of makes the bees think they've swarmed, but they really don't. So it's easy to do that in the 20 frame horizontal hives like we're using. And Dr. Leo went into quite a bit of detail on how to do that. So one of the things we learned is that we're going to need to modify our 20 frame hives. When we built those, we actually only used 2 entrances, one on either end of the hive. And in order to do the split easily in these horizontal hives, you need an entrance in the middle. And so we're going to need to add that middle entrance before next summer, when it would be time to make those splits. And every time you make a split, it doubles your colony. It turns it from 1 into 2. And another thing that does, if you time it correctly, it will introduce an artificial brood break, which helps to control the varroa mites in your colony naturally without having to do any kind of treatment. So when you separate your colony into 2, the colony that doesn't have a queen at the time, of course, won't have anybody laying eggs, and so you'll have a natural brood break there. And that's where the varroa mites actually propagate. They lay eggs in the brood. And so you have a brood break, so you have a break in the mite population. So that works out really well as a natural method to help control the varroa mites. One of the other things that we really enjoyed is that we got to go out to Dr. Leo's apiary. We spent several hours out there, and we were able to see Dr. Leo harvesting honey and preparing his hives for winter. And that's a couple of things we haven't done yet since we're so new. So it helped us quite a bit to actually see which frames he harvested and which frames he left for the bees. So we did learn that we're going to need to leave the frames for the bees that have a band of honey across the top. That is about 1/3 to 1/2 of the frame across the top that's got honey stored in it, and the bottom of the frame just with open cells. We'll need to be sure that we don't leave any frames that have brood in there, but none of them should at this point. We also learned that we need to be sure and harvest any frames that have honey on the side. If there's no honey across the top and just honey on the side of the frames, because the bees in the cluster will not move side to side to access that honey. So I didn't realize that the bees could actually starve to death in the cluster. If there's honey on the side, they just won't move to the side. They need to move up to access honey, and so that's how they survive. So any frames that we have that only have honey on the side, we'll be sure and harvest those. And we also will need to leave a frame of honey, a full frame of honey on the outside of the cluster, so that the bees have a resource for the spring buildup. So they wouldn't necessarily move over to that frame during the winter to survive, but in the spring, when the numbers of bees in the hive start to increase, getting ready for the nectar flow, they would go over and access that honey. So it would be useful for the spring buildup. We also were able to see how Dr. Leo used wool to insulate his hives, to put like a pillow over the top of the bars that are left in the colony for winter to help to keep the bees warm. And we were able to actually buy some of the natural wool from Dr. Leo while we were out there. We got to see, and there was quite a bit of discussion about mouse guards. You need to put a mouse guard on your entrances so that you don't have rodents move into your colonies over winter. And the timing of putting the mouse guards on was pretty critical too. So you want to do it before it's cold enough that the mice want to move into the colony. Otherwise, if you put it on after the mice have already moved in, you can actually trap a mouse inside your beehive, and that's not good. So that was pretty interesting, the discussion about mouse guards. One of the other things we had learned that we did wrong recently is that when you actually transport your swarm boxes or your beehives, you need to consider the orientation of the frames inside the hives, and the frames need to be pointed in the direction of travel, because the frames inside the hives can swing back and forth and they can bang against each other, and that increases the opportunity to injure your bees and to damage your comb. And so when you transport your swarm boxes or your hives, your frames need to be pointed in the direction of travel. And when we recently moved our colonies, our beehives back to Apex, we had them on a trailer oriented the exact opposite way they should have been, which would increase the opportunity as you're speeding up and braking to have the frames bang together. So yeah, we did that wrong. I mean, there were lots and lots more topics that Dr. Leo covered during the seminar. I would not dare try to cover all of this in the depth that he did, because of course I lack the knowledge and the expertise that Dr. Leo does, and I wouldn't do it justice. But he also talked quite a bit about colony management, what you would do in the different seasons to manage your colonies all throughout the year. Rearing queens, which we are not ready to try to do that just yet. And one segment that I found really interesting was marketing, and it was, and I'm looking at the agenda for the workshop, but one of the segments that I really found interesting was marketing your honey and your other hive products, and how to market those as premium products because they're natural, chemical-free, and a superior product to what you'll find in most places. But how to market those products and to charge how to set your prices at premium prices, because they're worth it. It's a unique and a special product, and you should be paid well for it. There was quite a bit of information about nectar producing plants, pollinator friendly plants, and how you need to how you can provide for your bees in that way. Honeybee health. There was just a myriad of topics that were covered, and again, it was just a very interesting and information packed weekend. We did take a few pictures during the apiary visit, and we took a group photo of our whole seminar, our whole class at the seminar, and I'll be showing those at the end of the video, sharing those with you. So we had a great time. We learned a lot. And learned that we still have a lot more to learn, but it was very beneficial. We appreciate the opportunity to go and learn from one of the leading experts of natural beekeeping and keeping bees in horizontal hives in the U.S., Dr. Leo Sharashkin. His family was just great. We really appreciate their hospitality while we were there. If you get a chance to sign up for one of these workshops, they're not cheap, but absolutely, totally worth the money and the time in what we learned. So thanks for watching. We appreciate your time. Please be sure and give our video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time.